complete evidence. We've seen nothing that we can work, but I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign, which turns out to be not true, a hoax, and really dangerous to the economic stability of America's working family.
There's a struggle between... You've tuned in to Stranger Than Fiction News, hacking the Matrix from the dark side of the planet, the most phenomenal live broadcast on the internets by far. Welcome back to the show. Many of you have seen this clip where Nancy has just lost her mind on C-SPAN, and it's pretty difficult to watch, especially the reactions of her colleagues beside her as she slips up and doesn't even know what decade she's in. And obviously we've figured out that there's something wrong with Nancy. Anybody can tell you that. But this is pretty staggering, to say the least, and it demonstrates exactly the mindset of the left these days. They are completely out of their fucking minds. Pardon the expression. Pardon the expression. Today might be a rated R broadcast. Please beware. Today we're going to have a special guest, Nicholson, 1968. Many of you know his work. He's a phenom on YouTube and a pioneer in the awareness of the awareness campaign of transhumanism and the like. And so we're very delighted to have Mr. Nicholson, 1968, on the line here. I'm going to buzz him in. He's been waiting patiently in the green room, and I'm going to buzz him in. That way we can talk about all the things that are going on the planet. But we're going to try and focus on some of the politics and, of course, the transhuman agenda, the post-human agenda. 2045.com. If you guys haven't seen that, you really need to. In any case, we're just waiting for the call to go through, and in the meantime, we'll try and entertain you with our wit, if you want to call it that. How many people saw that broadcast yesterday? The live broadcast that we had. Pretty phenomenal at the end. A very heated exchange. If you haven't seen that, please go ahead and bookmark that, slate that for later. Let's see if we can try Mr. Nicholson again. But there was some. We got Nicholson, 1968, on the line. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing good, my friend.
Excellent. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. As I was telling the audience, I mean, you've got quite the reputation out there on the internet. Everybody knows your work, and we're a huge fan. And obviously, you know, we want to be able to pick your mind and see where it takes us. So, so
are you sure about that, Ron?
we're gonna try our best. We're gonna try our best. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about what got you going. What motivates you in your work? What do you see as the big problems facing our country and future generations? Take it away, sir. Nicholson, 1968. Well,
first of all, thanks for having me on and reaching out to me. I'm glad to be on. I watch, you know, all your videos, and I even embed what I can, embed the videos of yours into my website. So good reporting, some good stuff like that. So shout out to you as well, my friend. So
appreciate it.
For me, you know, I'm just a normal guy. You know, just an average Joe. Got a family. Got a regular job. But what I guess really what got me started was, you know, I come from a Christian faith-based background, growing up, and you know, I kind of got away from that for a little while, but then God works in mysterious ways, and I came knocking on. Sometimes you don't even ask for it, but sometimes he finds you whether you want to be found or not, and that's kind of what happened with me. Is he started showing me some things, and I couldn't get away from it, and the things that he was showing me were just so obvious, and so that's basically my foundation where I came from. But as things have progressed over the years since 2007 on YouTube. I guess I'm kind of known as the transhuman guy. Hey, Nicholson, 1968, go see his channel. He has stuff about technology, transhumanism. If you're not familiar with transhumanism, in a nutshell, it is man trying to upgrade himself from man and machine, mixing man and machine, downloading consciousness, but basically it's upgrading yourself to become something other than human. You become a transhuman in the future, and that is an underlying pre-programming from the media, movies, music videos, everything. That's something that not a lot of people have talked about, and just recently in the last maybe 2 years, but before that, when you would talk about it, people didn't really understand where I was coming from. The technology, they just thought it was mostly in movies. It was fiction. No, that's just a movie, that kind of thing. But what has happened, Ron, over the last year or two is the scientific community have come out with information, the things that they're trying to do, upgrading DNA, cutting the CRISPR, which is another technology that can edit DNA, insert, heal DNA. They claim that if you have some kind of disease, they can make it better. Things that were handed down generation to generation in your family, those kind of things. And here's my thing. I'm not against technology altogether. That's not what I'm saying. Is where man is going to take technology in the future and try to live forever another way than we're supposed to be shown. That's where my faith comes in with Christ, is you come as a man, and you die as a man, and you believe in Jesus Christ, without getting too religious here, but those are the things that were revealed to me, is where technology is literally trying to rewire the temple of God, which humanity, we are the temple of God. If you believe in Jesus Christ and what he did, that's kind of where it's going. So the danger, because kids think it's the coolest thing. I want to be an Iron Man. I want to be, Iron Man, clay, tech mixture there. That's kind of where I come from, people who follow me. But if you haven't seen my stuff, that's most of my stuff is based on that, showing you where mankind is going in the future.
Well, I think you've brought up some important points there, and I think people are starting to become a little bit more aware about the situation. But this transhumanism has already begun, and most people aren't aware, but it's already begun in significant ways, and it's happening through the biomedical fields. They're already outfitting people with all sorts of artificial pancreases, pacemakers, bionic arms. There's a guy with a bionic penis out there, pardon the language, running around, seriously. And so this agenda has already begun, and they're trying to glamorize it so that people will accept it, that people will value it. And of course, technology has its benefits, but the problem is that right now all of the technology is being controlled by basically the occult, the elite, and it's become a breakaway civilization. They're hoarding all of the technology, all of the goods, and they're not planning on making our lives any better. They're planning on the Georgia Guidestones. And you bring up CRISPR, which is a very interesting piece of technology that's fairly new and revolutionizes molecular biology. But they're basically able now to cut and paste DNA at will, and it's so bad that they've got labs right now where they can basically program DNA any which way they want to, and they will boot up the organism. That's the terminology they use. They will boot up the organism based on the program that they write on a computer that gets translated molecularly into DNA. And people just aren't understanding the ramifications and the potential there. But it's like they could boot up anything from viruses.
Yeah, Autodesk. Microsoft Autodesk has a division dedicated to programmable matter. Now, and listen to that, programmable matter, which is a mix of organic and synthetic technology matter that can shapeshift and can be programmed. And that department actually exists. I remember when I came out with information on that, people thought I was making it up and it was science fiction. But then when you research it, look into it, it is real, and it's exactly what you're talking about. Is you can actually build a person the wrong way with AI. Cloning technology's been out there too as well. All of this plays bits and pieces of the puzzle of tampering with humanity and controlling it. Exactly what you're talking about, Ron, that people thought it was just make-believe.
Yeah, well, they came out in Harvard, I think, last year with this big conference of the leading minds saying that they want to develop basically a synthetic genome within just a few short years. And basically, they just want to make people, like you said, the wrong way, synthetically, where they just basically reprogram every gene so it becomes the superhuman and perhaps even better fitted to hybrid with bionic parts. And they're going to begin, with augmented memory. People with like super brains, then it's going to be augmented processing, and then they're going to basically have synthetic people that are connecting to the cell phone towers and seriously communicating with the hive mind, with the super AI, which is being built as we speak. And right now people aren't aware, but there's this huge new arms race to build a super AI, a singularity that will be able to do everything and basically dominate, military, commercial, everything. And it's just like people don't understand the potential there. Plus, when you think about the calculating power of one of these supercomputers, they can do the research equivalent of 1,000 generations of man in about a week. And so they can all of a sudden think about things, in a week's time, that it would take 1,000 generations of people to dream up. And obviously, like, here's the big thing. I just kind of want to drop this in for everybody. But here's the big thing. What's going on right now in the super AI research is that they're kind of like, obviously, they've seen the Terminator movies, and they don't want to hook it up to a network where it can get out there and be somebody. And so what they're doing right now is they're making these super AIs. They're letting them do the research. And since it's like a super AI, it basically has this sense of awareness. It's a singularity. And they're basically doing massive amounts of research in these air-gapped systems. And then they're pulling the plug and harvesting all of that data. And so basically we're coming into ethical issues because synthetic life is bound to exist if it doesn't already exist already from a different world or dimension. I suppose that gets even larger into the conversation. But imagine right now there are synthetic life forms living upon us. I mean, that is one of the most common scenarios you would imagine happening on other worlds, that there's a Skynet that takes over and they launch a synthetic species out into the universe. Right? Imagine one of them lands here and they're seeing how we mistreat the AI. All of a sudden, they might start thinking things like, what's up with these people? Anyways, I didn't mean to segue all the way there, but I think that there's like a whole bunch of stuff happening in the AI field that people aren't aware of, that they need to start thinking about. And I think that some of that started coming out during the Jade Helm exercises, where all of a sudden people were realizing what was going on with this Jade 2 system and what they were able to do. And they're mastering the human domain. They're basically running simulations of the real world in their supercomputers, trying to figure out what people are going to do, and that's why they're harvesting all of this data and stuff like that. So it's truly dangerous times, and I think that people are going to be waking up to a surprise. Yeah,
and they're pre-programming. It's multiple levels. Like the movies that they're putting out in front of us are kind of getting you prepped a little bit of what's coming. Have you seen the movie Morgan? Have you heard of it? It's a movie about exactly what we're speaking of, is a synthetic that has been created that they stumble upon, It's been secretive location, and they're debating whether to give it rights or to put it down or kill it. Because that's you're thinking about we're thinking about gay rights and transgender rights. Well, take it a step further of where they're pushing the agenda. The day is coming where a synthetic, just like you're speaking of, Ron, is they're going to give him rights? Does he deserve rights? Things like that. That movie speaks to that. It's called Morgan. A new movie is coming out on Netflix called iBoy, which is glamorizing, you're speaking to it, glamorizing transhumanism. And it's a movie that the kid has an accident in the movie. He is robbed, and he wakes up, and part of his cell phone has been embedded into his brain. Now he can see things through the internet, can access it, and he takes on this neighborhood full of drugs and everything by using this superhuman technology now to take down. So they're making it look like he's the hero. This guy with the technology in his head is the hero. It's called iBoy. Those things have been here, and they keep coming. They keep pushing the agenda. So that's happening in the movies. But in other sectors, you can see the push of where it's coming. I think you mentioned Amazon Go. Did you publish something on your site, Amazon Go, the restaurant?
I think we mentioned it yesterday, the fact that, they're going to be automating stores, grocery stores, pizza shops, Burger King, all of that stuff. That's in the future. But Amazon is basically crossing the threshold with their new grocery stores. And that's the sign of the times, automation. They're looking to replace everybody with robots. And then you have to wonder, well, what's going to happen to you and me? Once our jobs are gone. Do you think they're going to give us a fat, free, happy lifestyle, or do you think they're going to implement the Georgia Guidestones? What do you think?
They'll implement the Georgia Guidestones big time. Even McDonald's, they opened up a restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona, about a year ago. That's run mostly by robots, and they have like 2 staffers, on hand to, I guess, assist or whatever that is. So. But the Georgia Guidestones controlling the population, reproduction, all of those things that it speaks of on there, it is exactly where we're being led down that road to. And that's the thing, is people are going to want it. They're not going to, people like you and I, like you said, you are the resistance. As we are going through this, there's less and less of resistance, because more and more of the younger generation love the technology. They love, because of the movies they see, the TV shows, all of the things they're showing and glamorizing it. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're lining up for the iPhone. They're just begging. They're just begging to be assimilated, and they're loving the tyranny. And, I was just kind of like repulsed watching the halftime show at the Super Bowl, watching like all of these screaming teens just like, flipping out because of Lady Gaga and stuff like that. And it's just like, do they understand? Didn't they see any of the spirit cooking videos? Don't they understand who these people are? I mean, what are they doing? They're cheering and hugging and it's just like they're applauding, the worst of the worst of our society. But this is the problem. I'm sorry. I just want to finish this. This is the problem. Is like these people that we're like fighting against are the ones that are in control of this technology, and obviously, once they've automated the world, they're going to be looking back at us like a threat and not like anything else. And I think that's the biggest problem. It'd be different if they weren't chemtrailing the skies and GMOing the food and fluoridating the water and thimerosoling the vaccines and stuff like that. It'd be different if we could say, oh, look, they're doing everything they can to help us. But it looks like the opposite. They're doing everything they can to take us out with like silent weapons. And so all of a sudden you give these people Skynet, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to help you out? You think this technology, this life extension technology is going to be for you? It's going to be for them. It's going to be an Elysium breakaway society, and we're going to be the victims of their success, and we're fueling their success. And people need to start,
Yep.
voting with their wallet instead of just being like lining up to the store, like lining up to the gas chamber. Please go on, sir.
And that's it. Exactly right. I mean, you're not going to storm the gates and defeat this. The only way you're going to is if quit going to McDonald's, quit buying Lady Gaga, quit streaming her, her music, quit watching the stuff. People, I watched a little bit of the halftime show and I turned it off. That was it. I just, a lot of people say, why haven't you done, Nicholson, why haven't you done a Super Bowl halftime breakdown of Lady Gaga? She fell out, she is fallen from heaven, Lucifer, notice she swept in. But here's the thing, I'm kind of done with that. I don't want to do that anymore because all it's doing is giving this person and these people more attention. And it's pretty obvious now. What I'm trying to do now on some of my stuff is show stuff that's new. Like, look, we all can see an all-seeing eye. We can all see pyramids. We can see checkerboard floors. We all get that now. Not all of us, but the people that are awake. We need to go deeper into what is the agenda, what's being shown, stuff like what is the Georgia Guidestones really telling you? Out in the middle of nowhere in Georgia with all of the, I think it's 6 different languages, what is it? What is it telling us? What to be prepared for? Things to do. That's the thing I want to try to. I've kind of went another direction. Is I'm trying to share information, making people aware of things that they wouldn't see normally. Who cares if Lady Gaga exposed? No joke. That was exposed 5, 6, 7 years ago. Let's move on. That's nothing shocking. It's like Marilyn Manson. Do you know he's a Satanist? Really? No, we need to move on. And what do we do about this? That's the thing. Like you said, Ron, is you got to cut their money off, the money supply. Quit buying their stuff. Quit watching it. It's just, things like that. So that's what I'm trying to do on my channel. Of my projects that I come out with, I try to share some new information. And what do you do with the information?
Yeah, I mean, we're always kind of like in that mode of finding something new and moving on and staying with the times and keeping people, kind of like attentive to what we're saying. But I think that what was disclosed in those Podesta emails is so like devastating that it's so worth like hovering around that for a while, because obviously they've tried to do everything they could to get people to think about something else, even going to the extent of staging a false flag at Comet Pizza. It was obvious, crisis actor, obvious, contradiction in the witness statements. He was on CNN saying, oh, there were shots fired. Then he came on InfoWars and said, oh, we didn't hear the shot. And we played that clip like numerous times and stuff like that. And it's just like, they went that far to try to get people not talking about it. And when you see like all of the blowback that say like Ben Swan has gotten, reality calls, other channels, even us, I mean, we felt some of the heat, and I'm sure you have as well, covering the spirit cooking and the Pizzagate. Like, it's huge. And the reason it's huge is because people still aren't willing to accept child molestation, child rape, child sacrifice. And I think that's where we really got them in the, kind of like in a bind. Because,
I will tell you this. Most people that follow me, over the years, I was one of the first. I posted a video on Pizzagate on my Facebook that I'd had for a while. And I posted everything there, just whatever. But I posted Pizzagate, and guess what? My Facebook channel got taken down. And they asked me, now listen to this. And I was on the Fourth Watch, another radio show, and I told the story, and Justin knows about it, the guy from Fourth Watch. But they took my Facebook down, and normally they will ask for a photo ID. They asked me for a photo ID to prove who I was, and then they would put my channel back up. Okay, so I didn't comply with that. So I opened up another Facebook page. But here's what's funny. They came back, since I didn't answer that question, and they came back to me with a list of 50 people that I was friends with. I had like 4,000 friends on Facebook. They put in front of me, well, this is what they sent me, and I've got video that I show this. They asked me, in order to put my Facebook up, they wanted me to point out and click on who I had contact with in the last 2 weeks. So that's how I knew Pizzagate was a real, something, was really going on, because I'd never been censored that bad that they took it down, and then they took it a step further. They just didn't want my photo ID. They wanted to know who I was sharing messages with in a 2 week span. And of course I didn't comply with that either, and now I'm back up under J.A. Nicholson, John Nicholson, which is my real name. They can't catch me in anything unless they just take it down, because if they ask for a photo ID, I am J. Nicholson. So just to let you know out there, people that say Pizzagate isn't real or whatever, let me just tell you, I've been on YouTube since 2007. I've never been censored to the level of Pizzagate and talking about child molestation and ritual satanic stuff that we've been telling people for a long time. They just didn't want to believe it, and we're telling you, it is real stuff going on behind closed doors. It is really bad stuff. And but anyway, I just want to throw that out there to tell you that I've been censored big time as well.
Yeah, and I think like the evidence is pretty clear. Anybody who's been looking into this knows that there's something going on. And the whole, Jimmy Comet story being, one of the 50th most powerful people in Washington, D.C., that by itself is suspicious. I mean, think of how many diplomats, congresspeople, judges, generals, business owners are in Washington, D.C., and here's this pizza guy all of a sudden placed in GQ's top 50. And then you start seeing the pictures out of whatever it is, and he's like covered in blood saying sex, here's the kill room. I mean, there's some serious stuff there. Anybody who's been in the underground knows when you see language like that, you are dealing with some serious psychotic people. And so that's why it piqued the interest among all of the other things. But I think that was just kind of like an offshoot of the spirit cooking, because in the Podesta emails you had the link between Podesta and Marina Abramovich, who was linked to Lady Gaga, and you had Jay-Z, Beyonce, and they're all doing like this weird satanic eating people stuff, and it's just like, what is going on there? It's not just the child molestation, it's like the satanic stuff and the cannibalism. And I think that's where, they're just like losing their minds, because that, in that disclosure of the Podesta emails, all of a sudden you link the politicians, the celebrities, and all of it to the Bohemian Grove stuff, and it was just like undeniable. It wasn't like, oh, maybe. It was like, there it is in black and white. Here are the videos. It was shocking. And I think that's what really kicked it off. And I think, no matter where we go from there, we'll never be able to do better than what came out of those Podesta emails, because it was just so in your face. It had the names. It was, we saw the pictures of Marina Abramovich with like Lady Gaga, and then who came out in the last days of the Clinton campaign? It was Lady Gaga and Beyonce, and it was just like clear, like there is a link there. Any investigator would be like, boom, there it is. And it's just like they're doing everything they can to have people think about something else, but that's where we need to go back to, because people aren't willing to accept child molesters as imperial masters. And as long as we stay there, as long as we control the narrative and keep people focused on that, like every so once in a while, I think that is going to be, like, in the long run, the best thing we can do. Because we're complaining about the GMOs, the chemtrails, and all that stuff, but it's coming from the same place. And at the pillar of that same place is this child molestation that we saw in the spirit cooking and the Pizzagate. And so if we want to fight all the stuff that bothers us, we can focus on the weakest point in their pyramid, which is this Pizzagate scandal. And I think that's where we're going to be this year. Even if it bores people, there's still people that just don't know. Even if we know and we've seen it and we understand, there's still 290 million people that just don't know. And we got
They
to
don't.
reach, we got to reach those people, not for our sake, but for their sake and for the sake of future generations. And so even if it seems old to you, or even to us, we're still putting it out there because it's their kryptonite. It's their kryptonite, and that's that's what we're going to be paying attention to this year. But,
And I think you have an interesting point. Is you've got people that chemtrails, okay, Georgia Guidestones, whatever. GMO food, okay, yeah. But when you mention child sex trafficking and child molestation, it perks somebody. It gets some people attention. I mean, it gets them to perk up that they normally wouldn't. So I think you're right on as you go back to that weak little brick in the pyramid, because a lot of the majority, I mean, are not going to put up with that. And long as we get it out there and people that know, I still have people in my personal life, that I walk outside of my home. Of course, they don't know what I do. They don't know who Nicholson 1968 is, but they don't know. They don't have a clue of the whole thing with why people were upset about the refugee thing, the ban. and you know why, and I know why that they're upset about the refugee ban is because it cuts off the supply of their little kiddies to molest with the Ratcliffe and Clinton Foundation. I mean, it's glaringly obvious. So, but the normal person, the normal Joe, doesn't see that. They still listen to CNN and Fox News and get all of their information from those medias, and that's why they had to push the whole fake news. You knew it was coming. They wanted to push fake news, Nicholson 1968, and people like Ron and we're fake news. They knew all of this was going to start coming out. That's why they had to set it up for the fake news little to attack. When something comes out, that's just fake news.
And it blew back in their face because he had the president of the United States now saying, CNN, you're fake news. I mean, what a nice change. What a nice change, isn't it? To say, White House says CNN is fake news. Oh, what a beautiful, what a beautiful year. It's starting out excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're making headway. Obviously, raising awareness can make a difference. Look at how the election turned out versus how it could have been. Imagine if we got stuck with Hillary. Imagine the shit, pardon my language, we'd all be in. All of us in the truther community, all of us that were talking about her for like the last year or two. Imagine, how bad we would have got it. Not only that, but like all of the other things, the attacks on the family, they were pushing World War III. All of a sudden the Russians aren't in the headlines anymore. And everybody saw what's going on. They were so desperate about the Pizzagate thing, they were willing to blame the Russians for everything and basically push World War III. And the thing too was they never denied what was in the emails. That's probably the most shocking thing, is that they never denied one thing, whether it be the pay to play and this and that. Instead, what did they do? They're like, the Russians did it. The Russians did it. And so all of a sudden they start sending tanks and everything all the way to the Russian border. And and on top of that, they were pushing their proxy war in Syria to the max. Again, everybody should remember that Obama made ISIS, and ISIS is basically a thing of the occult, because they wanted people using the vernacular ISIS every day, and every day on the news you turn it on. Oh, ISIS did this. Oh, ISIS did that. And it's because they're part of this cult of ISIS, this paganism of mystic religions, and it comes back to Egyptian stuff and the pyramid on the dollar bill and the Freemasonry and all of that stuff. But that's their religion. And what we're seeing on television, it isn't politics, it's religious. And that's the difference. They're hiding behind politics. They're hiding behind love. They're hiding behind political correctness. But what's really behind that is their ambition to basically molest little children and do their Luciferian things. I mean, you got the New York Times saying pedophilia is not a crime. You got the British press saying pedophilia is normal. They're trying to normalize it because they know the spirit cooking thing is catching up to them. And if they don't normalize the situation, it's going to bite them in the rear. And so we need to,
Right.
we need to call them out on this now and have them, face public scrutiny, because that's what we do in this country when it comes to sex offenders. If a sex offender comes into your town, there's like a public hearing, everybody knows where they're at, they got a tracker. You want to know because you got kids. You wouldn't trust these people to walk your dog, but these people are coming back at you running for president. I mean, what's up with that? What's up with that?
And let me explain something to the new listeners out there that I hear this a lot, and just allow me for a minute. But why do these people want to have sex with kids, and what's the purpose? See, here's what you got to understand, and listen very carefully, folks. These people are Luciferians, are Satanists. Luciferians, Satanists, all the same. They believe, and not I believe, or Ron believes, this is what they believe. These secret societies, Skull and Bones, doesn't matter, Freemasonry at the top, they believe that raping and killing a little child, that it steals the youth from them and is transferred to them, that will make them live longer. They believe that. That's why they do what they do. And also, here's the other thing you have to understand with George Bush, the Bush family, all the people that are at the top levels that are they're Luciferian. See, they believe in reincarnation. They believe that's why they do what they do. They're not in a hurry to accomplish anything. They're in it for the long run, because they believe I'm just sharing this with you. What they believe is, like, if George Bush passes away, he's fine, because he believes he will be reincarnated with his God, which is Lucifer. That's what he believes. That's what they all believe. And down through history, it's called the Great Work. Look it up. That's what they believe. That's why it's hard for the normal person to wrap their head around what's going on, and why would they do this child molestation. It's all about, just like what Ron said, it's all about their religion hiding behind the politics of modern day society. Is their religion is Luciferianism, and Luciferianism. That's why they do what they do. They believe in reincarnation, that their God at the end will reincarnate them into his kingdom, the Antichrist kingdom, per se. That's why they do what they do.
Well,
and it gives them energy, they believe.
Obviously, they're into some pretty twisted belief systems. The thing with Bohemian Grove, it isn't our imagination. That stuff is actually happening. Yep. The stuff that we're seeing in the halftime shows, it's not our imagination. That's actually happening. All of this, basically subconscious Luciferian propaganda that we're seeing everywhere is not our imagination. And as far as, what they're believing, what they're going to get reincarnated into, I can't personally attest for their belief systems, but I can certainly say what it looks like. And if you look at the history, as far as, what's gone on since, like, the World War II, it's not what we think it is. And it's much more nefarious than we think it is. And the reason that, we've been having these political dynasties is a result of things that people aren't necessarily aware of. But World War II was basically an episode where super rich people were able to hire a country of thugs to carry out their dirty work, and the Nazis never lost the war. They just basically remigrated, or kind of like emigrated to different locations. And we're seeing the results of that today. It really does look like we're living in 1930s Germany all over again with modern technology. I'm not going to replay the history of, like, what happened in World War II, what happened at JFK, what happened during 9/11. But all of these major events were actually not what we think they were. It's not just 9/11 that was an issue. It was JFK, it was Vietnam, it was World War II. There's been this perpetual occupation for as long as anybody can remember that's alive. And it kind of like begs the question, what year are we really? But we won't go there for the time being, because nobody knows. We've always been living in modern times as far as anybody can remember. So it's hard to say, what's really going on out there. But I don't mean to segue into that adventure. However, what is out there today, what we're seeing today is basically not exactly what it seems, and we're not really appreciating what happened in history and how it influences the modern day. And I think we should all be especially grateful for what happened in this last election, because we were able to break the dynasty. For once, we had an outsider become president, and the establishment is still trying to pick up the pieces, and they're still having their fits. And I think we need to take this opportunity and run with the football. We got the golden ticket. Let's do as much damage as we can to this Luciferian system, any which way we can, that's legal and moral, and run with it, because we're not going to get an opportunity like this again. Like you said, with the immigration issue, they're banking on that to stay in power. They don't care about the immigrants as much as they want their vote so that they can implement their Luciferian agenda. And the clock is ticking against us. We don't have. We're probably not going to get another chance after this administration, unless we make some serious changes in the long term and the short term. And the long term begins with the education. We saw how bad they fought this Secretary of Education that just passed today by the narrowest margin I think anybody can remember.
50-50.
50-50, and it was just this is super important to the dark side. Who controls education? Who controls the minds of the children? Because right now they're going into public schools. They're going to 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and they're planting the seeds of transgenderism and all sorts of amorality. They're coming to 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds with a banana, a condom, and a book on sexual identity.
Safe sex, yeah.
Yeah, it's just what's going on there? And so they're losing their minds, and this is such a huge victory. Not only are we going to win on the fronts of education, but as well as abortion and Christianity. And so we're making some major progress. This is a huge victory. Trump is hard at work, and now we need to start keep moving on. Pushing the frontier on this epic struggle of good versus evil. And truly we're in a biblical struggle of good versus evil, because right now the dark side, with their technology, they're not just trying to push transhumanism, they're not just trying to push Skynet, they're trying to give birth to a beast system. And that's why you have the mark of the beast on everything you buy, and that's why they're pushing the propaganda to chip everybody with this mark of the beast technology. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to give rise to the beast, and it's going to be, Skynet mixed in with everything else. And we're seeing, we're totally seeing the pages of the Bible play out before our very eyes. And
you mentioned, that's it in a nutshell. And you talked about the Nazi, that it never was defeated. It just kind of spread out, went other places, and that's where the old MK Ultra Monarch programs, the mind control programs came out of, and those have not gone away. What has happened is they took that Monarch and MK Ultra, the mind controls they did on humans back then, and they've upped it with AI and they're starting to use technology to start mind controlling the masses. Of course, you have the TV or whatever. I'm talking way beyond that, of these things that we're talking about, of things that are going to be sold to you as great revolutions, like nanobots can go inside your body and disperse medical medicine. Those kind of things, you start messing with what we're talking about, and with the DNA of a human, the mind, the neural. It's all MK Ultra advanced. That's up to 2.0, if you want to say, is because it comes from this old technology. Now, whether you believe this or not, but the Nazis, where did they get this knowledge from? And it has to go, it comes back to the fallen angels, whatever you want to say. That's where the Nephilim, that's where it comes from. And so that's going on as we speak. That's why I do what I do, is to let people be aware of it out there, in the media, in the movies, in the music videos, these things that are real and are not science fiction. So, like in the future, if someone comes to you and go, you know what, if you implant this in you, you can do this, you'll be like, wait a minute. I was watching a show or listening to a show with Ron Johnson and Nicholson 1968, and they started talking. See, a red flag is going to go up, and you're going to go, well, wait a minute, Whereas the normal person that is totally asleep right now, that's not hearing this, they're going to go, oh, great, kind of thing. So it's very important that we spread this information as much as we can.
And they don't plan on giving you a choice, because with this automation, you have to think about the big picture. With this automation, they're going to start taking people's jobs, and they're going to start making people desperate. And then they're going to come to you and say, if you want to compete for the jobs of tomorrow, you're going to need to get cognitive augmentation. You're going to need to get this super brain so that you can do the things better than the robot can do. And this is how they're going to trick people into basically merging with the machines. They don't plan on giving people a choice. And we're so right about this. I mean, this is what we would do if we were Dr. Evil. And everything that we've said, seriously, and everything that we've said about like automation, transhumanism, this Luciferian agenda, it is coming true. It is playing out. It's becoming more and more bold, more and more obvious. And it's just because it's common sense. You just got to think about it like in the big picture. We're not dealing with politics. We're dealing with religions. We're dealing with biblical good versus evil. Now, obviously, we know how this story ends up. We know that the good guys win. We know that it's an epic struggle. But our role is to stay busy. Our role is to participate. Our role is to pass the test. We've been promised a promotion. We just got to pass the test. And so we got to stay we got to stay faithful to our daily duty, whatever that is. But we got to do it the right way for the right reasons, and we got to stay active. Our role isn't to just like play video games all day and go out and party and get wasted. Our role is to make a difference and to participate and be, and to show basically our merit in the next life. What is our role going to be in the next life? And I guess most of us would settle for being a tree next to the river in paradise, but perhaps there's something better. Perhaps we can get, go up in rank. I don't know. But I think, that should be kind of like a motivating factor in how we participate in this life. I mean, just think about, when you're at your job, you have your evaluations. You have, basically, your meetings and this and that, what you can do better. And if you do well, you can move up. And I think, that's going to be the same thing, when judgment comes. We're going to be looked at as far as what we did, and perhaps there'll be different roles for us depending on what we do now. And so I think we all have to do the best we can and stay busy and make a difference. But even if you're not a believer out there, I just want to say that you've got so much more in common with us Christian folk than you do with these Luciferians that are looking to wipe out humanity. Because at least we're looking to give you a chance and future generations a chance, but these people are looking to wipe out humanity. They're envisioning post-human society, which is like after the human race. They're looking to completely wipe out the human race and turn it into something different, and that's the concern.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a great point. And I'll be the first to tell you is, look, I know religion. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, whatever you want to say, or religion has been tampered with. Religion has been infiltrated. I understand that, but what Ron just said is, even if you don't believe, take it all away. Just take all the belief and the faith away for right now, and look at what the elite and the secret societies are doing to humanity. They're trying to control it. Period. Whether you believe in Christ, Allah, whatever. You got to look at the enemy is against humanity right now, and you got to figure out which one is the enemy, and you need to see it for that, because that's how I kind of went down that road years ago. Was you start looking into Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones, Rosicrucians, Freemasonry at the top levels. It is all about controlling humanity. I mean, that it really is, and so you need to see it for that. Don't just, oh, that's religious, throw it away. No, you need to understand who is ruling this earth right now. For a time, they are religious. They have their own belief system, and it is what we're discussing today.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't believe in something, these Luciferians certainly do. and they're looking to drag everybody into that direction. Misery loves company.
Yep.
Now, I just want to add a very important fact for people out there. We were talking about CRISPR, and we were talking about programming, new organisms, booting them up, and GMOs and stuff like that. Now, the reason that they can do that is because DNA is a programming language. It has its own alphabet. There's a logic to it. It's seriously a programming language. There's a start button.
Code.
There's a code to it. There's a code for start. There's a code for stop. There's different little switches if you take genetics and stuff like that. It's super complex. It's like nanotechnology. Now, what's important to understand is that the simplest form of life, as we know it, which is blue-green algae, contains megabytes of information. And it is impossible to get that amount of information just by a random sequencing of events. And that's why science says today that you can't get something living from something non-living. That's the law of biogenesis. We can't get a chicken from a rock. We can't make something out of nothing. We can't make life out of something that isn't living already. And we can't do it in a laboratory. Nature hasn't ever been able to show us that it can do it all by itself. And the reason is because it takes so much information, so much know-how to put this program together, even the simplest form of life. So for sure, we didn't land on this Goldilocks planet just by chance. Now, who you believe put us there, I think, is probably going to be the major difference between many and most people out there. But I think it's something that you have to think about. How did we get here? What's the meaning of life? And then you start looking at these Luciferians that are anti-everything, anti-normal, anti-natural, anti-family, anti-Christ. And then you're looking at the other people that are like, hey, we just want our organic food back. We just want a peaceful life back. And you really got to make the choice. Who do you feel that you blend in with more? These anti-Christian Luciferians, or these people that are like, hey, maybe we should go back to the way things were before things got so complicated.
Yeah. And you have to realize things. Let's just take the technology and the copying. And I'll do the differential. I mean, your blood and your DNA is code. It is a organic code. Then you have technology that people write on the computer code. You have a virus. When you get sick, you have a virus. You're human, but guess what? A computer has a virus as well. You have a chromosomes in your body, Google Chrome. You have a cell in your body, cells. What do you use to talk on now? Cell phones. The mocking and the copying of the two is just unbelievable, of the language they're trying to parallel to get the technology to you see the merger there, even with the names that they call things like a bite. You take a bite out of an apple, the forbidden knowledge. BYT, bite in the technology, is information. It's that slow merger that nobody is really seeing except a few. Everybody's looking for a nuclear bomb to just blow everybody up and we're done. But I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think what we're talking about is, over time, humans will start to become extinct, and you'll be a mix. Do you see where that's going? You've got a lot of people don't want to get their head around that because they're thinking about the here and now, and they're not thinking about 50, 40 years from now where technology is going to be. Because here's the thing, example, Star Trek, when it first came out, Captain Kirk had a little flip phone. When it came out, people go, "Oh man, that's fake. It'll never happen." We're way beyond flip phones now. I don't know if you've seen Star Trek where he goes toot toot and he flips the phone out. See, that's what I'm talking about. Stuff that I'm talking about now. A lot of people get it, but a lot of people are going, "No way." But 40 years from now, where we're going to be? That's what we're talking about. Is we're going to be beyond a flip phone.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like Transcendence and Ex Machina and all of that stuff, and probably beyond. And some people
Ghost in the Shell.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is coming out in March. That's a perfect. I mean, they're playing right timing these movies coming out. Ghost in the Shell, and and it's going to be, you're a vessel, and they can put whatever information into you, whatever it is, and you are a ghost in a shell.
Have you heard of the organic robotoids and stuff like that from back in the 1970s? Have you heard about that?
A little bit.
And and what did you think? Okay, let me ask you this: what did you think about like when Hillary had her collapse on 9/11, and then 2 days later at Greensboro, she came out and there was a live presentation and she glitched on the screen, like you could see through her, and we played.
Yeah, there was like it was like the background didn't match what was being shown on the spectators were holding up cell phones. Looking through the cell phones, the background didn't even match what was being shown to us on the screen. Is that what you're talking about, too?
Well, yeah, it's like, it seems like they faked one of her appearances, and then she came out eventually. And people have been speculating because there was like that guy, what was that pharmaceutical guy that raised the prices of the AIDS medication? Forget his name. Whatever.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? But that guy said, listen, Chelsea's apartment isn't Chelsea's apartment, it's a clinic. And what she walked out of like 2 hours later, where she didn't say anything on 9/11, she just kind of like waved and as if nothing happened, was basically outed as a clinic. We played that clip like numerous times. And then it came out that back in the 1970s, there was a Dr. Beater that was looking into, among other people, and he had a huge television show. He was super well known at the time, or a radio show, and he was super well known at the time. And he basically, like, what happened was that he came across documents saying that they had already invented the technology of merging man with machine, and they basically like synthetics out of the movie
Westworld,
Blade Runner and stuff like that. But basically. They said that Jimmy Carter had been replaced, and I was like, really? And I had to look back, and basically we played the clip where he had a collapse during a marathon, and then 2 hours later he came back. I mean, it was a hardcore collapse. It looked like he was done, and 2 hours later he reappeared on the scene as if nothing happened. The exact same thing that happened to Hillary 2 hours after her 9/11 collapse. And it was just like, all of a sudden it was just like, well, perhaps, she isn't who we think she is. And there's been images of her where she's just got like this blank stare in the SUV, and it just seems like there's nobody there until they flip her on for an appearance. And it's just
now. Did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see where she? When she collapsed, right? They were putting her in the van. She collapsed. Did you see? Did you hear? When she collapsed, a piece of metal fell to the ground. Did you see that?
Well, I saw what looked like a little USB drive kind of like eject out of her pant leg.
Yeah.
I think most people saw that. But what was weird about the sound, and this is kind of like a glitch in the Matrix, or the Matrix telling you something, was that little sound of the little ding at the time when it ejected was them ringing a bell after every name that had died during 9/11. Because like she had come to the ceremony in the morning, and because I saw other footage of her like there. You hardly saw any of it, but we got some of it. And like she was there, you saw the footage while they were reading the A's. And like when she collapsed, they were on the C's, so it was like super early, like in her appearance. She must have been there for like 10-15 minutes. But after every name, they were dinging, and it was just like, man, that was like a real noise that people were hearing, like ding, there it ejected, and who knows what it was. But I mean, it just seems like they were obviously lying about everything concerning Hillary. But this, this seemed like majorly suspicious, and it makes you wonder, is the technology beyond where we think it is? And
I will tell you this: is my studying is what was going on in the days of Noah, and it goes back to that. And why was mankind wiped out? Whether you believe this or not out there, but I'm going to tell you, people say man was wiped out because they were just sinning and gambling, whatever, just bad, and he just wiped them out. No. It was way deeper than what was going on in the days of Noah, and that's the key to start to understand and really know what's really going on with humanity, for me, is what was going on in the days of Noah. Why did Jesus Christ even say in reference, when I return, it will be like the days of Noah? He mentioned that time specifically. And there is technology that is way beyond where we are now that was destroyed back then, and that's why it was destroyed. It because of things that were going on back in that time, in the days of Noah, that they are trying to get back to now. And that's why I'm saying the Nazis. People say it's from the Nazis, but you got to look way deeper before the Nazi. This is why Genesis 6:4, the big argument with Genesis 6:4. There were Nephilim on the earth in those days and afterwards, and a lot of people have a problem with that. But when you start connecting the dots of what's going on, this technology, cloning technology, to how to kill babies in the womb, that's technology from the fallen. All of these things that are going on, even Solomon knew of the technologies. King Solomon knew the technology. That's why he has a lesser keys of Solomon. Keys are tones. People are thinking about a key that goes in the door. No, key is a tone. There's 88 keys on a piano. Look up in the sky. There's 88 modern constellations in the sky. It's no accident. Black and white keys on a piano. Freemasonry, black and white. Duality, whatever you're going to say. As above, so below. These are the things that are going on. There are people on this earth that know of this technology and they use it. Programmable matter, shape-shifting material. And when I started looking into this stuff, I thought, man, people were crazy. You know, I wasn't really a conspiratorial person, I'll be honest with you. What really got me was 9/11. When I saw a documentary called Loose Change, I watched it with an open mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, man, something is not right. I don't know exactly what went down with 9/11, but I tell you what, the story that we're being told about 9/11 is, I've been deceived. And that's what really started my awakening of really researching things. There are people on this earth for a time that are leading people astray. They're not who they are. That they have so much technology behind closed doors. Only the things that we're being shown, man, they had it 40, 50 years ago. I mean, or whatever. I mean, and once you realize that, then it opens up to, have some of our leaders been cloned? Have they been robotized? Some of the stuff that you think might have sound nutty doesn't sound so nutty. Just like this child molesting Pizzagate thing, to the normal person, if you've not done any research at all, it's going to come across crazy. But for us that have been out here for years and years telling you about sexual magic, rituals, all of this stuff, we're like, see, we told you, it's real, and it's just coming to light, and it has to be, and that's how God's going to do it, is he reveals things over time and through the prophecies to be revealed in a certain time frame. But anyway, that's my little
well, you hit on some
there.
tremendous points, and that was kind of like bringing us back to what I was saying earlier. I just wanted to touch on, we don't know what year it is. You know, you're talking about Moses and how we don't know what happened back then, and you know, it makes you wonder, you know, how many times have things been reset? We don't know. Maybe that was just the last time. What were the circumstances? What year is it really? What's going on? I mean, these are important questions to be thinking about, rather than, you know, thinking about sports and, you know, what can I get at McDonald's and stuff like that. But you've also touched on a whole bunch of other brilliant points. That was a brilliant speech there, and it's just like, you know, what's up with the technology? You know, what's up with our leaders? What's really going on? What technology do they really have now? You know, and especially like 30, 40 years ago, I mean, they were flying drones. They were like orange and white. They weren't as fancy as they are today, but they were flying drones. They were flying all the same stuff pretty much that they have today. In fact, there's stuff that was 30 or 40 years ago that seems semi more advanced than it is today. They're hiding a bunch of stuff. And I think like that's some of the stuff like that the that the flat earthers kind of like touched upon with like the, what about these NASA pictures? They look CGI, they look fake. They're obviously hiding something. It isn't the flat earth. I mean, anybody that looks at the star maps and they see that there's 2 different star maps for the 2 different hemispheres, they're spinning in opposite directions, that can't happen on a flat earth. So it's not a flat earth. Maybe they're hiding the size. Maybe the curvature is bigger than we think it is. Maybe they're hiding an Elysium. Maybe they're hiding the Tet from the movie Oblivion. We don't know what's really going on. But what we do know is they're lying to us. They're lying to us about, about the moon. They're lying to us about, how we got here. They're lying to us about in the politics. They're lying about the food and everything. Let me ask you a question. What did you think about the lunar wave? Did you ever see that video from Crow 777?
Where it kind of came through the lunar wave.
Yeah.
I don't know, but here's my thing is I always go back to the research. Freemasonry, New World Order, NASA, most of all the astronauts are Freemasons. And that to me tells a lot. Because here's the thing that I don't understand with people is on one hand they will agree that Freemasonry at the top levels, 32nd degree, 33rd degree Masons, or the third degree in the Scottish Rite, which is from the Blue Lodge, mostly overseas, in European nations, they agree that they're very deceptive and their true intent of Freemasonry is very cloaked, over the years. So you can't trust them. Because they try to appear, Freemasons try to appear one way to the public, that they're very active in the community and they give lots of funds and, that's how that works. But here's my point, is they want to say that, but then everything that NASA puts out is the truth. Okay, so I don't get that because it's like you can't have it both ways. And so, the lunar wave thing is, I guess, is the moon a holograph? I guess that's basically what you're saying is, I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty convincing video, but I don't know if it was done. So many things can be done with video footage. I don't know. I mean,
that's totally true. I mean, well, the thing is that, at first I saw it and I was like, hey, that's interesting. And then he kind of redid it, like he revisited it a couple years later, and he zoomed in and he noticed something that he hadn't seen before, and that's like the whole surface of the moon shifted after the rendering wave. And it was so well done, and there's been other people that have captured similar phenomenon. And then it makes you start thinking, well, perhaps, it's some sort of cloaking technology. It's like a backlit projection, some kind of thing like that. But then you start listening at scientists, what they have to say about the moon, and it's like, it's really bizarre. It's so huge for the size of our planet. It's like, a quarter of the size of the planet, and it's like gigantic compared to all of the other moons in proportion to their planets. And it's just like, all of a sudden it seems like it's an unnatural phenomenon. And then it fits perfectly between us and the sun. So, I mean, none of the stuff that we're seeing on Earth is here by chance. And, I guess it's reasonable to suspect that there's perhaps a dual purpose to the moon. It's not just, a nice-looking face looking at us. But that's also interesting because that's the natural perspective, the natural human perspective when we look at the moon. It looks like a face looking back at us. And
Truman Show. Remember Truman Show?
Yeah, exactly. So it makes you wonder, what's going on. And recently, they sent out, like, they had some kind of test where they shot some kind of missile into it or something, and they said that it rung like a bell. I'm not sure if that's an urban legend or not, but it just seems weird. Like they went there in the 1970s supposedly, and they never went back. They didn't bother to put up a tent or nothing. It was just like they never wanted to go back. It's as if they got spooked. You know what I mean? And then some people are contemplating, well, maybe they never passed the magnetosphere, the radiation belt. And then, other people are thinking...
They never passed the Van Allen belt.
Yeah,
they never did.
Yeah, that's what some people are contemplating. But then some people are saying, well, perhaps they could do it from Antarctica because, the radiation shield belt is like a torus. And so it's like, I'm not sure if people know what that shape looks like. It's like a three-dimensional shape. But basically, there's like a little hole at the poles where possibly you could jet out from. And then people are speculating, well, what's really going on in Antarctica? Why can't we go there? And, what's up with, it's got a whole range of IP addresses. I'm not sure if anybody's looked into that, but there's, a huge range of IP addresses going into Antarctica. And they've got all sorts of facilities there since the 1960s. And we don't really know. We don't really know, but we know they're lying to us. That we do know.
Yeah. That is an interesting thing I think there's stuff in that range. Anybody that sees Admiral Byrd's old footage, he saw plenty of land, plenty of things beyond that supposedly we were supposed to go back to, and never did. It never happened. There were things passed, the Antarctic Treaty, that we can't go there, supposedly. But I'm with you. We have been lied to about a lot of things, and here's the thing, too. It's okay as long as it's not okay that we've been lied to, but we're okay as far as what we don't know. A lot of people say what we don't know won't hurt us. That's not true. But what I mean by that is the Creator knows that we are being lied to. He knows who is lying and who's being lied to. So a lot of people get scared. It's like, well, if we don't do this, then I'm going to perish or whatever it is. You know what I mean? They get that panicky anxiety kind of thing, and it's okay. I mean, everything is supposed to be going. Prophecy is going the way it's supposed to be going. And that's just the way it is. Per se. But I think the whole. I know we didn't want to go down this road, but the whole thing with the flat Earth and outer space and aliens. Do you mind if I put my 2 cents in on these?
Please do.
Okay, because here's my thing. I have said, and this is the beauty of being on, because I think Ron may disagree with me on some things here, but that's okay. But I just want people to think about this, and this is the way I approached it, because I kind of sit on the sidelines, and I didn't jump into the ring on certain things. I kind of wait a little bit, do a little study, pray a little bit about it, and then I kind of weigh in or whatever. But I don't know everything either. I'm just a normal guy trying to help connect some of the pieces of the puzzle. But for me, when I found out about the Nephilim, and what I mean by that is, if you go into any church in the world and you ask them about aliens, everybody is going to raise their hand. You ask people about the Nephilim, maybe 5% know what Nephilim are about, and might not even know about that. That should tell you something, because the masses most of the time are wrong, or 99% of the time they're wrong. Always. I hate to say it. It's just that's the way it is. The masses killed Jesus. He was right in front of them. They hung him on the cross, killed him. To my point. So, to me, when you find out about Nephilim and the Watchers and fallen disemboweled spirits, the aliens, to me, is part of the propaganda. It is not aliens. It is not someone from a distant galaxy. It is this is what we're talking about. Nephilim, demon spirits, demonic spirits. You don't even have to call them Nephilim, but demonic spirits, whatever. So put that on a shelf. Then the flat Earth thing. Let's take it as a big picture. If I was to try to discredit a creator, here's what you would do. You tell people about aliens from other dimensions. You're not special at all. God, the Creator, has created many different other people, places, things, whatever. And you, as a human, are not special. And, by the way, I didn't tell you about it at all in the Holy Bible. So you've discredited. You see where we're going with that? So then let's do the flat Earth and outer space and all this stuff. On a spherical Earth versus a flat Earth, enclosed, domed, whatever, and God is above us in the firmament on a flat, domed, circular. I'm just saying that makes, I'm just saying that makes you more special as a human, is on a domed, flat, circular piece of land versus a spherical outer space aliens, and we're just hurling through space at random. I'm not going to go into any specifics, but I've kind of crossed that bridge with thinking, what is the bigger picture of the Masons and why NASA was set up in the first place to make you disbelieve in a creator, you're not special kind of thing. That's my 2 cents on that, and I'll probably be making a video here in the next couple of months to speak more to that, of what I kind of gave you the cliff notes of. But I see your point too, Ron, of the two the star maps, kind of thing. So,
well, it's difficult because obviously there's stuff there and they're hiding stuff, and it's just like we want to know. And the flat Earth, kind of like makes sense, to a certain extent, until you start looking at other angles from it. And I guess when I'm thinking, okay, what's more special is that we're in this snow globe, or that we're in this vast plane, this huge universe that's as big as we think it is. And I guess when I'm imagining, and so I'm thinking like the bigger the better, and I'm thinking and I'm thinking that as far as the diversity of living entities and spiritual beings, I'm thinking it's probably as diverse as the amount of species we see on Earth. Like, we don't just see 2, 3, a dozen, 1,000. There's hundreds of thousands of different species of all sorts of different things. They all look different. I mean, they're discovering new things every day, things that nobody's ever seen before. And when they show the pictures, they're like, "Whoa, look at that! That's on Earth," And it's just it's just a huge amount of diversity. So I really don't want to limit the possibilities and say, there's just this and that. But I do agree with you on the Nephilim, obviously. I mean, that's in the book of Genesis, and everybody's seen the skulls, the giant skulls and the giant skeletons, and there's tons of them out there. And so nobody can really argue with the evidence. There's other things going on. But what they are, it's hard to say. We don't know. And perhaps we are, on a flat plane. Perhaps the world is bigger than we think it is. Perhaps it's an oval and, an oblique sphere or something like that. We don't know because they're not telling us. But what we do know is we didn't.
I agree.
I don't we didn't get here by chance.
But I just know we've been lied to.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And I think that there's a lot of things that we agree with as far as what we're being lied about. But what is the conclusion as far as what's really going on? And I think that there's just so many more questions to ask, but this is the direction that we should be focusing on versus thinking about the conditioned awareness of 4 walls, a television screen, go to the job, go shopping, pay your taxes. Your job isn't your job. Your job is to go out there and shop and be a zombie. That's your job. That's the way. That's the way society wants you. That's your conditioned awareness, and you're basically like the rat in the maze, and you're not asking about what's outside the maze. What's outside? What's the big picture? What are they hiding from us? But we can definitely pick up on some of the cues, the clues. Obviously, these people that are controlling our government and at least they were, and our society, they're Luciferians. So they're following the biblical doctrine, except they're doing the opposite. Which means that if all these people are believing this, and the Bible says that evil is ruling the world, it seems like this is what's going on. The pages of the Bible are truly playing out before our very eyes. Now, I guess we're gonna close it up there. I want to thank Nicholson 1968 for joining us. Please do tell us where people can find you, and anything else that you want to say in closing. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on. Great talking with you. Keep up the great job you're doing, my friend. I'll always support you. When you put your videos out, I try to embed them into my website, where you can find me at Nicholson1968.com. You can find me on YouTube, just Nicholson1968, my main channel. And from there, you'll find everything else. Like on my website, I have not just my information, but I try to bring everything to my website, from the latest stuff from Pizzagate to Nephilim anything conspiratorial, and that's kind of the name of my website is where conspiracy meets reality, and that's kind of my little logo kind of thing saying so. But yeah, you can find me there, and again, I'm honored that you asked me on, Ron. I appreciate it, and keep fighting the good fight.
Well, I was just surprised that we were able to connect, and I just thought it was excellent. You got an excellent website. It's so fun. It's content rich, and your videos are renowned. They're well known. You've probably seen them. Obviously, people that are listening, exactly who you're listening to. As far as Nicholson is concerned, and it's just tremendous. And I think we had a super excellent conversation and discussion, and it was enlightening. And it's always good to bring different ideas together, and we're making progress. And I think we all got to stand together, and we all got to basically point the finger in the same direction. We can't be pointing the finger at each other. We gotta basically stand firm and united against the dark side, against the evildoers, and call them out for what they are, and deal with the trivial differences later. Let's not worry about what we think is driving us apart, because that's part of the plan. They want to divide and conquer. Let's stand together.
Yep.
Let's stand firm. Let's be people of faith, elbow to elbow, and point out the Luciferians and say, look, they're molesting children. Look, they're going to Bohemian Grove. Look, they're poisoning the food, the water, the air. They're looking to take out humanity. There's just no stopping these crazy people. Let's put them in an institution. Let's put them in California. Let's send that state out into the ocean. Let's do something reasonable and contain the issue, because this is an outbreak. And when you look at the election results, that wasn't just an election results map. That was an outbreak map. All of those blue areas, I mean, that's where there's heavy contamination, and it's spreading. And so we got to do something about it to contain the outbreak. And raising awareness is the issue. That's what happens at every epidemic. They start raising awareness. Clean your hands, wash your hands. Don't watch the television. That's what we need to be getting out there and informing people. And and everybody can be a superhero in their community. Everybody's got a responsibility. Stay busy. Keep waking people up. It makes a difference. Look what happened this last election. Look what happens on all of the other issues that we raise awareness on. They're forced to maneuver, and it's better that they're on the defense than being on the offense. It's better that they're trying to deflect and defend than conjuring up new 9/11s and staging or pushing the world towards World War III. So we got to keep doing what we're doing. Everybody's got to stay busy. We got to find new ways of waking up new people, and there's hope. There's never give up. Stay busy. And obviously we're wishing everybody the very best. Thank you again, Nicholson 1968, for joining the show, and to everybody out there.